Hi everyone, welcome back to your weekly Pilates mobility session with myself, Peter. So first of all, before we get started, I'd like to thank Trainify.tv for sponsoring this workout. So Trainify, the platform where you can find expert trainers for Pilates, for yoga, for strength and conditioning, high intensity interval training, all that good stuff. So head over to Trainify.tv, you can head to their YouTube channel. You can get £20 worth of free credits and you can do the workouts anytime, anywhere. So for today's session, I'm going to focus a little bit more on the mobilization, but maybe introduce some of the really fundamental exercises to get a good bit of connection into our core muscles, all the muscles around the midsection, the spine, along the front and the back, and our hips as well. So going to start off onto our back again to begin with, and just begin with a little bit of mobilization from here. So your feet are about hip width distance apart, your fingers are onto your hip bones, and if you think of the session, or if you did the session last week where we were focusing on pelvic clocks, I want you to feel where you're feeling along the hip bones that 3 and 9 along that pelvic clock face are pretty level with each other. So right foot stays pressing into the mat. Take a deep breath in through your nose, and as you breathe out, you're going to open your left leg out to the side. Breathe in, that leg returns back through the center, and then as we breathe out, right leg opens out to the side. Good. And just do that once more each direction. So really simple. You want to feel that the leg we're moving, we fall to the outside of that foot, but the leg that's not stays pretty stable, pretty still. Now bring your feet a little bit closer to each other just before they would be touching, and then just do both legs together. As we breathe out, fall to the outside of the feet. Notice that we can go a little bit wider, feeling that stretch around the kind of back of the glutes and the back of the hip area. Breathe in, draw the knees back through the center. Good. Exhale, both legs fall out wide. Inhale, come back through the center. And we'll do just 3 more like that. Good, so starting to mobilize, as I said, are continuing to mobilize. Allow that stretch to come in along the inner seam of the legs, kind of the inner thigh muscle area. And that will in turn kind of promote a little bit more opening around the hips as well. Good. And then just come back through the center. So feet hip width distance, and then we're going to take that kind of sensation into some bridging, but maybe with a little bit more focus on the kind of individual legs. So arms wide, and we'll just refresh, just going through kind of traditional bridge 101 as it were. So heels pressing, press down through the big toes, and then find that tuck of your tailbone between your legs. So you feel your bum just gently lift off the mat. So take a deep breath in, and then as you breathe out, pressing down through your heels, sending your knees reaching forward, and raise your hips up to the highest point that you can. Your rib cage stays softened in towards your body, knees reaching forward, hips high. Deep breath in. And then as you breathe out, melting your spine down, section by section, where your hips and your bum touch down last. Good. And then again, find that tuck of the tailbone between the legs. And this time, I want you to press down through the left foot more, so that we kind of come up a little bit more elevated on this side. And the right knee, just allow it to open so that again, you're maybe resting to the outside of that left foot. So I'll check in, keeping the hips themselves pretty level with each other. And then from here, we're going to roll down through the middle. And just kind of notice what's that's kind of picking up. Bring the knees back through the center. And then we're going to roll up, pressing through the right knee as the left knee opens out to the side. At the top, just to bring the hips back level with each other. So 3 and 9 are at the same kind of line and level. Keep the left knee opening out to the side as we roll down on that side. And then bring the knee back in so that they're parallel with each other, the thighs and the knees. And then right knee opens out first time this time. Push through the left foot and then come back up. Good. And then keeping that right knee opened out to the side, hips are pretty level. You're going to roll down again through there. Good. And then bring the thighs and knees back parallel. Open the left knee out to the side. Step more through that right foot and come back up. Good. Hips level. Still resting on the outside of that left foot. Resting through the whole of the right foot, especially the heel. Breathe in. And then breathe out. Rolling your spine again. Coming all the way back down. So with that one, and kind of just as a general rule, we never want it to be an exact science. More when you're doing it, you want to feel that there's different sensations, there's different stretching going on, and that's a good way of just getting in tune with what's happening within the body. Now, we're going to take that into some femur arcs now that we've brought in some mobility around the hips, and this is going to be a lot more in the kind of core activation type of kind of Pilates. So hands a little bit wider onto the mat and just create a gentle kind of rocking action with the tailbone where it tucks between the legs and then points to the mat, and stop where you feel the halfway point between those two is. Now keep the pelvis anchoring down onto the mat, and you're going to float your left leg up into a tabletop position. Hold that leg up in space. And then you're going to float your right leg up into a tabletop position as well. So your pelvis remains anchored. Your hands, you're pressing gently through the palms and your fingers so you feel an increased connection through the back of your arms and up to the back of the shoulders as well. Now, make sure that we're in that kind of strong neutral position for you. You shouldn't be feeling any unnecessary pull into the lower back area, for example. The next time you breathe out, lower the toes of your left foot down to tap the floor, tap the mat. Breathe out, bring that leg back up. Breathe in, lower the toes of your right foot down to tap the mat. Breathe out, lift back up. Keep alternating from one side to the other. So, what we're still getting out of the movement itself is hip mobility, but to be a little bit more specific, it's hip dissociation. So how are we able to move the thigh bone away from and then back into the hip joint whilst keeping the rest of our body pretty still, pretty quiet. And the better that we're able to disassociate through the hip joint and keep it stable, the pelvis stays stable and therefore our spine stays stable, then that's how we're going to increase and improve our core stabilization. So notoriously, us Pilates teachers are really bad counters. So I don't know how many I've done. And I am quite familiar with this movement as well. So if you feel like you needed to take a rest before this point or at any point, please do so. Let's see if we can go for a double leg version of the femur arc. Inhale, both legs go down together to tap the floor. Exhale, raise back up. Continue like that. The toes tap down, the legs come back up. 3 more with whatever version you've went for. Good, last 2. One more here. And then the legs come back up. Good, bring one foot to rest fully and then the other foot to come down with it. Good, so we should feel like we've been moving around the hip joint, as I say, that hip dissociation, but it's also really creating that connection into the core muscles underneath the abdominal wall and a little bit into the abdominals as well. So now we're going to bring it into what's called a chest lift exercise. So we're going to mobilize the spine moving through flexion, but we're going to continue to work the abdominals as well. So interlock your fingers, place your hands behind your head, and your elbows are pointing up to the ceiling. So keep your shoulders relaxed down away from your ears. And just as your elbows point up to the ceiling, take a deep breath in through your nose. Now, as you breathe out, start lifting your elbows to the ceiling. That will lift your hands and your head off the mat and curving your ribs round so that you're looking down toward the knees. Hold the head up, breathe in, and then breathe out, rolling your spine, coming all the way back down. Once your hands touch the mat, breathe in, and then we repeat. Breathe out, lift through the elbows, the head is being supported with your hands, your ribs turn round, we look between the knees, breathe in, exhale as we control coming down. Good, so continue like that, but this time as we come up, think of your ribs having a couple of wheels, so you're turning the wheels round on either side of the rib cage to really find that length through the back body, and the front part of the ribs glides down toward the front part of the hips. Good. So we got one more here. So you're going to curl up and hold. Your jaw should be relaxed. Head is fully supported with your hands. Breathe into the back and the sides of the ribs. As you breathe out, can you bring your hands behind your thighs and then maybe curl up a little bit higher? Hands behind your head, breathe in, breathe out, rolling the spine, coming all the way back down. Your head touches the mat. Fantastic. Good. So from there, let's get yourself up, everyone, and just lengthen your legs out in front of you. So we're going to come back to an exercise we did a little while ago as well called the spine stretch. But let's see if we can kind of bring that sense of curving through the ribs to get something more out of it now. So where you're sitting, your legs are lengthening in front. If you feel that you're really cramped around the hips, take that option to bend the knees at any point if we need. So from here, bring your fingers underneath your hip bones and just feel for the bony landmarks directly underneath. So feel for those bony points pressing down onto the mat. Once you've got them, keep them pressing down and release your hands. So your arms are going to reach in front of you. Relax your shoulders down away from your ears. Your head stays high. Take a deep breath in. Now, as we breathe out, start reaching your fingers forward. Feel the arms and your shoulders and your upper back being pulled forward as you do that, and your head drops between your arms. Your sit bones are still in contact with the mat. Breathe in. Restack the spine back up. The head comes up last. Let's go again. Exhale. Draw forward, head between your arms, breathe in, restack, come back up. So we'll do 3 more.
And I want you to feel, as I say, that the sit bones stay in contact, but maybe notice that each time we move through that spine stretch, we're able to create a little bit more stretch, a little bit more pull forward. Now, as you're coming back, keep your hands parallel to the floor through the movement, and the arms as well, so that you're not dropping the arms down and pulling unnecessarily through the shoulders. Make this the last one. Curve forward, hold. Sit bones stay pressing, back of the neck stays lengthened. Breathe in, breathe out. Can we reach the fingers, the arms, the shoulders, the upper back forward? Get a little bit more sense of that stretch, and then come all the way back from there. Nice. And then just roll the shoulders just a couple of times from there. So I'm just going to turn facing toward the screen now, and then we're going to take that into seated rotation or kind of spine twist. So legs lengthen out in front. Again, a bend at your knees if needed, and then your arms reach wide. Oops, I'll come a little bit more this way. So bring your hands slightly in front of your shoulder position. Relax your shoulders down away from your ears. So as you're in this position and we breathe in, head high, but feel like your middle fingers are being drawn away from the midline, and keep that length of the arms away from the shoulder joint. As we breathe out, we're going to rotate right. The distance between the arms stays the same. Come back through the center, breathe in, and then we go the other way. Rotate left, the arms stay wide. Continue. Now this time as we go right, can we add in a couple of pulses? Come back through the center. Do the same on the left. See if that gets us a little bit more sense of twist and turning in. One more each direction. And then just relax from there. So come back through the center. Nice. Give your shoulders a little bit of a roll again. And then I'm going to take it into a little bit of extension work after that now. So we're going to try and get a little bit more sense of lift and length through your spine. Now, come down so that you're lying down, chest first, onto your mat. And you can just have your knees bent with your legs kind of resting up in space. Now from this position, you're going to bring your fingers underneath your hip bones and just feel for the bony parts with the fingers and just gently draw them up toward your navel, toward your belly button, and just notice that your sit bones along the back and the tailbone tucks a little bit more between the legs. So find that kind of turning. It will bring more connection through the glutes and the hamstrings, which is a good thing. And then send the front of your pelvis down into the mat. And you'll notice that your thighs will float off as we weigh the pelvis down, and we'll feel a little bit more connection and distribution through the spine. So hands directly underneath the shoulders, and then just lower your chest and lower your nose down and stop just before your nose contacts the mat. So the back of the neck stays lengthened. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, sigh it out your mouth. Now this time as you breathe in, start pushing the floor away as you lift up through the chest. Your feet will drop away slightly. Breathe out, lower your body down toward the mat. Stop just before the nose touches the mat. We go again. Breathe in, push the floor away. Find that extension through the back line of the body. Exhale, lower yourself down. So 3 more. And as you're doing this, you want to be aware that you are going to feel the muscles kind of down the back of the spine working. But if you feel that it's dumping more into kind of one point of the spine, then don't go as high, or check in that you are pressing the front of the pelvis into the mat continuously. This time come up, hold. Point the elbows toward the floor. The shoulder blades will draw down toward the back pockets. Back of the neck stays lengthened, and just keep that sense of the collarbone staying open. Hold here for a few deep breaths. And then lower the feet down as you push the floor away, and then bring the knees underneath your hips. Big toes touch. Sit down onto your heels and your arms reach out. Okay, so from here, hands on the mat, pushing the mat away. And as you push the mat away, your bum should come a little bit closer onto your heels, and that will stretch the back line. Now keep the right hand out on that right side, and then your left hand just comes over on top of it, and you can look kind of either underneath or just above the left shoulder as we create more stretch. The right side of your head rests on the right arm if that feels okay. And then just do the other side. So left hand goes over, right hand comes on top, and the left side of your head rests onto the left arm as we look kind of toward the right arm, maybe slightly below, slightly above. And just take a few deep breaths from here. And relax. Good. And then just bring yourself all the way up from there. So give your shoulders a little bit of a roll, and hopefully you'll feel like you've brought in a good bit of connection here. We've got some mobility through the hip joint as well. And then also we've brought in kind of flexion, a little bit of side bend and rotation through the spine, and a little bit of extension as well. So really getting in a lot more kind of directions of movement, which is only a good thing to really hydrate the tissue through your spine, and therefore all the kind of structures and muscles and soft tissue that connect into it. So I hope you enjoyed the session, guys. Please subscribe, like, comment on anything, and I'll maybe get back to you as well. And you can find me connected to all the kind of handles related to Trainify as well. Have a great rest of your week, guys. Take care.